How often do you cheat? Do you cheat on tests?
Yes.
No comment.
No comment.
I plead the fifth.
I'm not saying, but I'm not saying on tape. But
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you? Tell me what you gonna do, what you gonna do? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys.
So then why do you cheat?
I just don't want to do the work. I think the extremely competitive spirit of our school system really promotes the idea of doing whatever you can to get the advantage, to do better than everyone else.
Maybe, I'm sure there's a couple kids who are like glancing at other kids' papers during tests, but I don't think it's like a huge issue. I remember in middle school it was a pretty big issue actually. There were a lot of kids cheating.
The work starts becoming tedious and really repetitive. There's absolutely no need, I feel like, to actually do it. And I feel like everyone in the school has copied homework before.
How many students have you personally caught cheating?
Even if I had one a year, that's 42 kids. 44 if you count other schools. A handful, half a dozen, maybe wow, that's a long time. A dozen, let's say.
Well, it's not a universal thing that everybody cheats. It's not a universal thing here that everybody cheats. You know, but some people do. And it's a defeat because as a teacher, in this paradigm of teaching, since I've been at it, which is longer than anybody in this school, it's different than when I went to school. It was us against them mentality. We're actually here to coach them. It's a coaching mentality. Like your coach wants you to do well in the game, right? It's a win-win situation when that happens. So that's how the mentality is now. So when we feel students have to cheat, it's almost like they didn't know the play, they couldn't go in and execute the play, they just weren't ready, they didn't care enough. So that's like, it gets into a very psychodrama that way.
Any questions you may have. But Mr. Renino actually is in charge of our academic integrity committee.
Stuff like that.
Yes, he does. No. So end of conversation. Interview over.
On some level, cheating is a really cynical act. It's a behavior that says, you know, I'm not buying in for whatever the reason. They give too much homework, so it's ridiculous, and there's no way anyone could do this, and so I'm gonna, right? That's sort of being cynical about the system.
Personally, no, but maybe by the school guidelines, yeah. I'm not very familiar with the academic integrity code, but maybe.
Let's start with the policies, okay? So, if a student cheating is really occurs when a student breaks our code of conduct. It's in the student handbook, right? And the procedure also is spelled out in the student handbook.
Academic career, as far as I can see, they're in a contemplative mood, you know. Their eyes are kind of looking over here so they can really gather their thoughts, trying to look over the screen. You're like, really? I have to go back and like adjust the screens and make sure that they're covering the work.
In one of my math teacher's classes in the past, he gave us homework, but all the homework was also online. So the majority of my class didn't do the homework. We just would go online and copy it down from school wires.
Basically everyone in my class does it. And it's bad, but
I don't know. And like a lot of kids in my class, like the reviews for the quizzes and tests are the exact same as the tests. So kids would like do their reviews and like bring that to class with them and like whip it out during the test and just like copy down their answers for everything.
Yeah, his study guides are basically the same as his tests, but he just changes the numbers. Like it's the exact same format. Like I don't know if it's just the teacher, if it's actually considered cheating, but like yeah, it's just how it is in this class.
People saying that they're sick and not coming into school during like test days that they know they're not prepared for, and then they get, you know, of course they get extra time, right? Because then they can just reschedule the tests, right? And then they can spend that whole day, they didn't go to school preparing for it.
You know, we look to see who's out whenever there's a test and comes back, you know, the next day and has had that advantage. And to me, that's unfair for the other students who play it straight.
I think cheating has like evolved over the years, and since people are still kind of concerned about stopping the more traditional, old-fashioned ways of cheating, these kind of new methods that people come up with to get an advantage aren't prevented.
Right? Like we live in an age now where like, am I plagiarizing if I retweet someone's essay? I mean, it's like very blurry now. And so that's been one of the challenges, is that it's been increasingly, if you look in the arts, you know, if a DJ a plagiarizer, you know, or someone's doing sampling, you know. So work that's celebrated nowadays makes use of, without attribution of the material. So it's a challenge.
You would say plagiarism is like the #1 thing?
I would say so.
I gave back a test, I photocopied all the tests. And then the student came back with the same argument again, like, oh look, this is like this on the thing. I'm like, you know, I kind of had a feeling about that. So I'm going to give you a 0 on the last test and on this test. So you're probably going to want to withdraw from this class because you won't pass. I'm going to destroy any type of foundation I have with the student that I've been working with. So I think in some cases I might have seen it but didn't do enough about it.
The at-home writing, that you get kids, and if you put it that way and you challenge them on that and they have to redo it, they whatever.
Do you confront them about that?
Of course.
Good.
Well, I say, how did you get that? And you know what? They answer.
Yep.
They're not devious. My students, they have not say, "Rrr." They're not devious about it. It has happened. Let me just put it to you. It has happened.
I think the policy works. My experience has been that when we call the committee together and we meet with a student, that student is usually in a psychological or emotional place that is really uncomfortable. And I would hate to think that there are students who are sort of riding that line and not getting caught, but my experience has been that once it happens, it's really uncomfortable and unpleasant, and they get it.
Grades being what they are, it kind of is a horrible thing if somebody's really actually burning the midnight oil to work and prepare and somebody else is jacking around and not doing anything, and they end up getting the same grade. That's pretty bad.
There's a lot of pressure on everyone here to succeed as a very highly rated academic institution. Students are really pushed to the absolute limits in terms of taking the hardest classes and loading themselves up with a lot of work, because everyone has these unrealistic goals of like, I'm gonna go to Harvard or whatever. So, you know, even though we don't have valedictorian, people still try to overload themselves as a whole, and as a result, you know, we have a very stressful community. And for those who feel that they're unable to compete, whether that's because they're not smart enough, you know, they're inclined to cheat.
Are the means moral or not? I think that's like the question. I think most people are more concerned about the end goal than the means.
There's something that's precious that gets lost when one goes there. And I don't know what causes the loss of that preciousness, but when there's something that we really believe in and value, whether it's in a relationship or in a religion or in a democracy, you know, when there's standards that we buy into and subscribe to, and we really feel them here and believe them, and they're like core beliefs, you feel terrible when you cross the line. You don't do it, you know? think about like the way you treat a sibling or a parent that you love. It's just like there's certain things you wouldn't do.
They asked about cheating, and the kid said, our AP physics teacher leaves the room during the test. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get fired now. And so, but he went on further to explain, he goes, that's because we developed kind of an honor code in our room that we've been given the opportunity to succeed, so we just do our work and we roll with it that way.
But yeah, I do know it's something that we got to fight against. You know, personal integrity, a sense of who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, where you draw the line. Those things are really, really important. And I think the individual, no matter what the voice is that justifies it, you know, the individual is worse off when that line gets crossed. And, you know, that's too bad. That's what we fight against, you know. There are things in this world that are worth believing in and standing up for. And I think that's the kind of person that we hope you all are evolving into.